Tyler.
All right, hey y'all. So this is Reading with Friends. I'm super excited to have my friend Jasmine Dorsey. My God, y'all, she has been cheesy and smiling since we got in here. I don't know if we're gonna be able to keep it together.
We will, I promise.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm in the pharma industry. I'm a consultant for a Danish company. I've been in biotech for like the last 8 years and rediscovering my love for books.
Nice. Okay, I love that she said that because literally same. I used to love to read as a kid, um, and I don't know, like life just kind of happened.
Hmm.
You know how? Yeah.
I do. Hmm.
Yep. Life happened, and I've started to build up a library, but I'm not going to tell you what percentage of those books I've actually read. I'm just going to keep that to myself. But
We don't need to know.
okay, yep. So, what are some of your hobbies outside of reading?
Cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking, probably traveling.
Yep.
I don't want to say shopping is a hobby, but.
Oh, shopping is a hobby for your girl. Yep.
And then painting in my free time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, painting. Okay. So, do you want to talk a little bit more about your cooking?
Yes. So, speaking of food, have a small business for meal preps and private dining called Eats by J. Kicked it off during COVID. A lot of people at home not wanting to eat or cook.
Oh
So
my gosh. Yeah.
we have that. I'm trying to get that back up and running and find a way to put a spin on it.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. And y'all already know I tagged it at the bottom, so please follow Eats by Jay. All right. How do we know each other? How do we meet?
We met through RDUBP.
What is RDVP?
Maybe it was a jumping group chat back in the day.
Yo, shout out to RDVP because
And the founders.
yes, like technically we were part of the OG crew.
Yeah.
What I moved back to Raleigh Durham at the beginning, well, no, the end of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I got connected to you guys at the beginning of 2018.
Yeah.
And yeah, still a nice little group of us. We're still very close.
It's been up since.
Area.
Yes.
So awesome, awesome. And last but not least, how did you find this book? Why did you pick The Silent Patient?
So I was at Barnes and Noble's, last minute shopper. They were upset with me, but I asked the guy. I was like, I love Twilight or any books that are kind of mythological thrillers, something that would captivate me if I'm gonna immerse myself back into it. Self help wasn't gonna do the
I
trick.
understand it. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
The fact that you said mythological, I was like, well, wait a minute, this was definitely not that. But then you said thriller, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
no, okay.
Those are my two.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, well, I don't know about you, but I actually love psychological thriller. It's definitely my favorite genre. So I was very excited when you chose this book for us. I don't know about you, but I legit read this in like 3 days. How long did it take?
It actually sat for 4 months. And
It happens.
it does, because I read the first few chapters in bed, went to sleep, and then I was like, let me put this back up. Got the audio, heard a little bit, and I was hooked.
Oh, okay. So you did an audiobook for this.
Just to get me a little jump start.
Okay.
And then I finished
I
via
love
book.
that. Okay. Well, nice, nice, nice. I have my little copy right here. I'm not going to touch it because it looks pretty and it's a little sand. But are you? I know you said that you have to use it to jumpstart. But are you more of an audiobook person or a physical book person?
I definitely love the tangible, but I think my mind has changed. I can do an audiobook now.
Okay. Well, nice. I still can't. I can't comprehend when someone's reading to me. Like I have to see the words on the page. I don't know.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
So when books get a little convoluted, I'll still put the audiobook on and then just have the book in front of me like, oh.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into The Silent Patient, y'all. So if you've read the book or if you haven't read the book, this book was a psychological thriller. It was based in different parts of London for the most part. And it kind of went from Alicia's house and the Grove, so the psychiatric facility. So two main settings for the book, but I have a thought-provoking question to start. So Alicia remained silent, but she made one statement, a painting. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, what if a painting was the only way a person could communicate?
That is deep. Because if you go to an art museum, you have the artist who paints something with the intention of, I want this painting to convey this, and depending on whoever's looking at it and how they feel, they might get a different message.
Exactly. Context is everything, and as you said, everyone interprets things differently. Like, it literally is about your lived experiences, because that's kind of how it's going to help you interpret things. Okay, love that. My next segment that I want to drill into, so I call this segment the hook, line, and sinker. So, with the hook, line, and sinker, I would say, what did you feel after you read the first 50 pages of this book? So, that was around part 1, pretty much all of part 1. Like, did you feel like you still wanted to read it? Was that the audiobook portion of your journey, or what?
No, at that point I picked up the book, and I was very much like
locked in.
If I was driving to work, then the audiobook was being played.
Love it.
Because I needed to know what was going on.
Yes. So I think that was when I feel like Kathy actually got introduced around the end of part 1, his wife, because honestly, the way I was shocked when I found out that he was married.
Very shocked. If I could have told you what was going through my mind, I thought this man had a crush.
Same.
And it was not that.
Same. Yeah, and honestly, what was it? Christian West, one of the guys he literally hated, literally told him, "You need to leave work at home." Well, leave work at work, basically. Yeah. Because he could see it too.
Yeah, but it was weighing on him.
Joe, he was becoming obsessed.
My goodness.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I think for me, I was definitely, like, I didn't stop at page 50. I definitely wanted to continue going as well. But I do think that when you get to like the first 50-ish pages, you'll figure out if you're going to kill the book or not.
That's always a pivotal point.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that we were both on the same page. So with that, like, what were your early theories? Like, what did you think? What did you think happened? Like, did you?
I was so off base.
Yeah.
I think that's what made me just want to dive in and understand it. I hate not knowing, and at the same point in time, I'm a person where if the plot is predictable, I don't want to read it. I don't want to watch it.
I can't wait to get to the end of this because we've got some comments from Goodreads and Storygraph that I want to share that literally I think a lot of people were feeling the same.
Yeah.
I don't know about me. I'm not like, I don't know if I just wasn't invested like I thought I was, but I kind of didn't have an early theory.
I had none. Like, even when it came to, did she commit the crime?
Yeah. I stood by Alicia. I don't know.
I know from jump. I stood by her. Yeah. I didn't think she did. I just didn't know. I didn't know who.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when, oh goodness, it just changed. Like, it hopped from person to person as they continued to like introduce more characters.
Yeah.
How did you feel about her friend John? He was problematic.
He was very problematic.
I didn't like him.
I just felt like he was money hungry.
Definitely. My God.
I don't think he had her best interest.
Absolutely not.
He was
thirsty.
She found love when she was like, I don't know if I want to do this. He was like, hey, what you doing?
Yeah. He kept popping up.
Yeah.
Just very unwanted.
You could have just stayed over there.
Yeah. Then that plot twist with Christian West. When I started to read that, I was like, dang, that would be too obvious if it actually was him. But like, I don't know. Like, that was so weird.
It was weird, but it was also so obvious to me that I was like, okay, well, if it's not him, because this is loud, so loud that it seems wrong, then where do I go next?
Yeah, literally.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, the plot twist got me for sure. So if you were to think about the first 50 pages, so when we get to where you're introducing Kathy, what was your initial hunch? Like, did you have one? Do you remember?
Vaguely, but I just felt like it was a backstory, something to further paint Theo's story. There was no connection. It was just,
Yeah.
let's better understand Theo and who he is as a person.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that a bit more, but Theo had an interesting childhood.
Did.
I mean, and so did Alicia. So, yeah.
Character development.
Yes. And I did feel like the character development was there for them. I was still a little intrigued by how Alicia, like, loved Gabriel. It was... I was trying to get it. Like, when they were talking about the painting,
Yeah.
painting him as Jesus on the cross, I was like, well...
It was interesting.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, it was.
having to look at the picture during.
Yeah. She was an interesting person because, honestly, it's like you didn't want to think that she had mental health issues. You didn't want to think that because they were painting her like that, but then...
Once you dive into it, it's like, no.
Those journal entries. For one thing, what did you think about the journal entries?
It just seemed like a brain dump, excuse me. It seemed like a cry for help, but also just within her own mind of cycling through everything and trying to make it all make sense.
Yeah. That, and I mean, what did you think about the writing? Let me be clear. Like, what did you think about the writing style of the journal entries?
It was a little psychotic.
It was weird, and I honestly didn't I was like, there's no way she's actually writing this journal like that.
I was thrown off, but then it made sense.
Like, is it disassociation? Is she actually,
Definitely disassociation.
Because I'm like, it wasn't making sense to me.
I feel like it wasn't, but then it just further explains her
psyche,
her trauma, and even the painting.
Yeah. Now, I definitely want to segue into the different themes that we saw in this book, because there were a lot. It was hard to keep up at one point.
A little.
But let's talk through this first one. So, silence versus talking. Diomedes argued early on in the book. So, was it Professor Diomedes or Doctor? I don't even remember, but
it was Professor.
Okay, yeah. He coined Alicia's crazy from the get-go. Like, when she got there, crazy, because she wasn't speaking, and he thought that she had been under such psychological distress.
What did he know?
Yeah, I was on the fence with him, like, character-wise.
Agreed.
Like, at one point I liked him, and then, at one point I didn't like him, and then I thought he was softening up to Theo, and I was like, okay, cool, he's down. And then, like...
As soon as the pressure was put on him, it was, I don't really care for you anymore. Yeah.
Child, don't you hate when people do that?
I do, because stand 10 toes down all the time.
Please.
Please and thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so what were your thoughts around the silence versus talking in the book?
At first, I kind of looked at the silence being a trauma, like she was traumatized so bad that she chose to be mute, or just something, it just happened. And then after further reading, I was like, no, it's a statement. Definitely. She does not care what the truth is. It's, my silence is my word, take it for what it is.
Okay, because it's like, literally these people were painting this picture of her due to, like, the sensationalism of it, obviously, like, but the fact that she stopped talking at the crime scene, like, she never spoke after, like,
no trial, no blurbs, no me just whisper something, just
nothing. Literally, she gave us nothing. I don't know, that was just really, could you go through life being mute on purpose? Like,
I couldn't. I feel like
we're certified yappers, so definitely not.
No, certified yappers. I feel like I've experienced grief, and even then, like, my silence was about 2 days, but at that point it's like, I got something to say. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. It's a cry for help. She didn't even have that left in her, which is crazy. But yeah. Okay, so another really, really big theme was around childhood trauma and how it shapes adult life.
do be going.
Okay. I had some quotes in here that I found in the book that just kind of struck me. And this is coming from Theo. I felt desperately sorry for her and those like her, for all of us, all the wounded and the lost. Can we just talk through, like, what, just reading through the book and getting those glimpses into Theo's childhood and Alicia's childhood, like, what was going through your mind just reading some of that stuff?
I felt for the characters themselves, but also people who equally are going through the same battles and quote unquote don't have a voice or aren't sure how to articulate that. You know, as adults, like, you're struggling, this is my trauma, and I still feel lost. And it just made me feel for them. Like, my heart went out. Like, I hope no one or none of my friends are going through this.
Oh my gosh. Just like reading through some of the things that he went through as a child with an abusive father, a mom that just kind of was just kind of there. Like, she didn't really parent.
No.
But he was just abusive all around. Like, just reading through it and understanding that he really was seeking validation from his father up until the end.
Yep.
And it's crazy to me because, like, that can really damage your psyche for real. Like, people can have a hold on you for real.
A hold, and some people don't even realize it. Just being at work, like, wanting validation. It's like, why do I care so much that they didn't say good job when I'm supposed to do this?
As a kid, I just feel like Theo used his own personal lived experience to really relate to Alicia, and sometimes the boundaries were crossed.
Boundaries definitely get crossed. It to me, it's almost like it's no longer relate. It's almost an obsession.
Yeah. And it's like, as a therapist, you're supposed to have an objective, like, stance on this thing.
Outside of yourself, regardless of how relatable it is.
Gosh. And that's something that was another theme in the book, not to jump around too much, but as I was reading that, I literally went to ChatGPT. And it's like, what does it mean when a therapist, like, just over relates to a patient? And the word is countertransference. Countertransference. So in the realm of therapy, when the therapist's own emotional response to the patient is influenced by their personal history, past experience, and unresolved issues. That was Theo to a T.
To a T. He shouldn't have. He should not have been.
Bruh. When he went to find that girl's cousin, Paul Rose, I was like, sir, what are you doing?
Yes, because at that point, are you a PI or are you a therapist?
Literally a PI. He became a private investigator. Like,
it wasn't necessary.
No, it literally was not. And we kind of already touched on this, but the obsessive tendencies were crazy. Like, but I also drew parallels to his obsessive tendencies with his wife. Because when he met his wife, so for one thing, child, because his wife, Kathy, was in a relationship when they met. They cheated, well, she cheated with Theo, but then she didn't think that he would have gotten cheated on him. I don't know. Let's use common sense.
You lose them how you keep.
Okay. Let's use common sense, folks. But anyway, no judgment, just a little judgment. But he was obsessed with her too.
Yeah. And I think it's almost because he was always seeking validation and he needed something to cling on to. As soon as something sparked his interest, it was, I have to hold on to this. I have to cling to this. I need this because it puts a Band-Aid on something and I have something new to focus on.
And that's what he said to his therapist. The older lady, what was her name? I don't remember the lady's name, but y'all know it if you've read it or if you haven't read it. Theo's therapist.
Yes.
He went over to her house randomly after he was no longer her patient, by the way.
The fact that she opened the door.
Right. I don't know. Anyway, I think it was a motherly thing, but either way, he had that epiphany while he was talking to her. Or no, maybe he didn't. She told him that. She told him about himself.
Yeah.
Because it's, sir,
You're too
Kathy
old.
is free as a bird, y'all. You're trying to keep on this, like you said, you're trying to hold on to something.
Yeah.
So you can feel something.
When clearly that something isn't even, it's not even helping you. It's not benefiting you.
No, literally no. I actually wrote that I felt like Theo was insane. Theo was insane. And he was obsessed with helping Alicia. And knowing what we know now,
it makes sense.
I'm like, but was it manipulative? I think, like, that's what I'm having a hard time, like, wrapping my mind around. Knowing what I know now, was this, like, I have to help her, like, I have to get to the grove, I have to be assigned to her case, like, was that him low-key trying to manipulate the situation? Did he?
I do think that was part of it. I think cognitively he was aware enough to know, although I'm obsessed, I equally need to cover my own behind, if you will.
Sorry, spoiler alert. But yeah, I'm like, it left me thinking for real.
It did. And I think for me that's also why I thought there was a crush.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, to be that obsessed and to, like, literally spend your waking moments thinking about how you're gonna help this person
and find the context clues.
Child, he was on a Scooby-Doo mystery hunt. I'm like, sir, relax. And so that brings me to my next theme, around deception and unreliable narrators. Theo was an unreliable narrator.
Beyond.
He was unreliable. But then, like, low-key, as I continue to read through to, like, part 3 and continue to read Alicia's journal entries, she was giving off unreliable too, because I was starting, like, when she was doing the flashback and she was at home, she just seemed very manic.
She did seem very manic, and for me, yes, she was an unreliable narrator in some sense.
Yeah.
Though also for me, it just seemed like whatever you have going on, she doesn't trust herself. And it's very loud.
Oh, yes. Gosh. The man that she kept seeing in the window.
Oh, girl.
Child, I was like, girl, what? Okay, is the man real? Is the man not real? Like, it was giving, I don't know what to believe.
I didn't think. I just thought she wanted attention. I thought maybe the first time something happened, and after that, it was just paranoia.
The fact that they said that she had a similar, like, nervous break when her father died, because Gabriel, you know, I guess had taken her to see someone. She had medication. I guess she stopped taking the medication.
She didn't like how she felt.
It's like, how can you believe someone who can't even believe themselves when their mind is gone?
It's very hard. I feel like at that point, it's almost on the reader to either have sympathy and say, I trust her, and be like, sis, get it together.
Yeah, that's good. Man. All right, so deception and unreliable narrators. Okay. So, and then another theme, the last theme that I saw in the book was around Greek tragedy.
Yeah.
Alcestis, the painting. What were your thoughts? They told us in the book, like, what the Greek tragedy was. Like, what did you think when you read that?
Honestly, when I read it, I was like, sis, stand up. Sis, no, stand up. But it was also almost like I felt bad.
Yeah.
To say that not that you should love your spouse that much.
Yeah.
You should check out this tragedy. But I just, for her to relate to that, to paint it, and then to take that approach.
Yeah. Because also also, like, we have to think about Gabriel in this. Like, Gabriel was a cheater. He was cheating on her.
Cheating, did not care.
So, Alcestis, in the Greek tragedy, was known for selflessness. The woman in the story was known for selflessness, devotion, and her love for her husband. In this Greek tragedy, it includes love, sacrifice, and basically, she died for her husband, but Hercules saved her and brought her back from Hades. But I'm just like, let me go back to this quote that I skipped over. But when we're talking about childhood trauma, you remember when in her diary she started talking about what happened with her mom, the car accident, all the things, and how she went up to her safe space up on the roof, and I guess her dad was coming out. He was just grumbling to himself, but she heard him.
Yeah.
Just talking about, I wish that my wife was still here. Like, I don't know if he said that I wish it would have been her instead, but he said something along those lines.
Yeah.
For her to say, he killed me. Dad just killed me.
Yeah. And
that stuck with her. Because, my goodness, like, can you imagine being a kid?
Grieving your parent and you hear your other parents say, well, my spouse is more important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard. Grief is hard, but that's
a child.
That's a child.
Yeah. That was...
Power of the tongue, folks.
Yeah. Literally. That. Child, I read that and I legit, I felt for her. I felt so much empathy reading that.
I wouldn't know, like, what to do. Like, I literally, I could understand how lost she was because I myself...
Yeah.
Crumble.
I would, like, I would crawl into myself. Like, I legit would not... Well, for one thing, child, I forgot how old she was when this happened, but, like...
She was so impressionable.
I wouldn't want to be around him. Like, I would have ran away.
Yeah.
Well, I would not have run away, but if I were her, I would have wanted to run away.
And just not be in that environment.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because, I don't know. Because, I don't... Although he wasn't abusive, like Theo's dad was, to her, I still think that was enough of a gut punch. Like, it was emotional abuse.
And emotional abuse sticks longer than a bruise ever will. Not that it's not equally bad. But.
Oh my goodness. That's a quote right there. But yeah. So that was tough. So, any other themes that you kind of saw?
I just feel like the whole book was almost like a play on emotion. At least for me, the theme of just because someone is telling you that this is happening, it's, do you believe it? At what point do you listen to intuition and you say, I hear you. I don't believe you.
Man, because that happened during one of Alicia's, like, last sessions where she was... Child, and this was Diomedes
on the floor
coming out, saying that I don't know if I believe her. Like, I think she's lying. No, or Theo said that.
Yeah,
Theo said that, and that's because he knew.
He knew.
And that, I don't think that it didn't click when he said that she was lying. That he knew why, or he knew for a fact.
No, I was like a deer in headlights. So she's okay. What's next? And then that page.
Oh my gosh. Theo. I tell you what. Just, you know. Okay. That's all for that segment.
Yes.
So let's move on to our character lineup. So with this, I really want to hear from you, like, do you think the vibes are good, or you think the vibes were pretty with this character?
I gotcha.
And why? Okay. And it can change. It could be this or that, or it can be both.
It could be.
And so, I guess I'll start with the main characters. What do you think about Alicia? Good vibes or eh?
No, that was my girl. She was lost, but from jump, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I was just like, I want to hear her story. I feel for her, and right is right, wrong is wrong,
Yeah.
and sometimes even though wrong, just like, but still, tell me about yourself. I like you.
I like that. I feel like Alex like did his thing
Did
with
a great
that,
job.
with the character development and like again drawing us into each of these characters
From jump. That's I appreciated that.
What are your thoughts about? Dun, 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 and I'm gonna skip around.
No, you're fine.
Max Berenson. Good vibes or bad vibes?
I definitely. I don't think I had an opinion. I just feel like he doesn't care for her. Well, at first, and I was like, "What is this tension?" Maybe he just feels like, she ex my brother. I don't care about her. And then I got to reading.
Yeah.
And I would have.
That's look.
Nope.
Handed that man with the quickness.
The sexual harassment was crazy.
Ridiculous.
And he was so mad that he was getting rejected. And he was
married.
Child. And the weird thing is, I'm sure this happens more frequently than,
Unfortunately.
The woman that he was with knew that he had a crush on Alicia. I don't know if she knew the extent of the sexual harassment though, but she knew something was up.
She definitely knew.
She peeped it.
And turned a blind eye.
Yes. Child. He must have been paying for a lot. I don't know.
He still would have got checked.
Okay.
Because not in public you acting like this.
It was giving. I'm trying to remember if they gave a description of what he looked like. Because I don't know why it was giving like.
He gave me tummy over pants.
Yeah, yes, literally.
In a sweaty top.
So maybe they did describe him though. Because I thought the same thing. Like, just gross. Like, just, okay, well, Max is bad vibes. What about Paul Rose?
I would like to know a little bit more about Paul. I mean, definitely played his part in telling us more about Alicia, but he just seemed like a scary placement, if you will, as far as being cute, if I'm not mistaken. I think Theo was a little frightened by him.
Well, Theo that's because he knocked him out.
Yeah, I was gonna say Theo got popped in the head, actually.
I'd be scared of him too, because I'm like, well, for one thing, again, Theo was not the PI he thought he was, Charles. You walking up on somebody's property and then you get got.
Yeah.
The fact that they they didn't drag him into the house. He woke up on the ground.
I don't remember, but they helped bandage him up once they figured out who he was. They're good people.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That aunt though.
Nasty.
I forgot her name, but I laughed my behind off when they talked about the picture that Alicia painted of her.
Not the truth hurt her feelings.
Oh, right, because we'll leave it at that. But that was crazy. I thought that was hilarious.
I got a good cackle. Like, I would understand why you feel away, but it's okay.
It's art.
It's art.
It's art. What about Christian West?
I didn't like Christian at first, but I think I didn't like him because of how Theo painted him. After everything was said and done, he just seemed like someone equally going through life and its ups and downs.
I like that.
Yeah.
Humanizing Christian.
I thought he had a small crush for a small second, and maybe that's why he was jealous of Theo. But yes, but that's why I was, still trying to figure out what is this book about to throw at me. Yeah.
Yes, Kathy Faber.
Hussy.
Not a hussy.
I think, honestly, I didn't have a whole lot of thoughts on her. However, whenever she would get on Theo about, like, glad she helped him, but when things started to crumble and she would, like, pick specifically about, just the weed, just a small thing in my head, this is a general thing. I was like, sis, not you nagging, and
When
you out here doing the things in the bushes.
Yeah, look, Theo definitely was good with stealth mode. I'll give him that. My
Yeah.
man's the stealth mode worked.
It did.
You could tail him like the best of them. I guess probably not so great with Alicia since she could see him every single time and just stand up.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to picture him standing across the street, looking into the window of this lady's house like a crackhead multiple times.
I would have lost it. I feel like her paranoia is probably why she saw him, because she's always like, "What was
Are
that?"
you looking? That is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, John Felix Martin.
Nope.
He was bad vibes.
Yeah, bad vibes. He just seems selfish.
And I feel like even at the end, I was still not sure if who did it.
Mm-hmm.
So when he went in to Alicia, when he went into the hospital that day,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that he had done something, but he had.
He
He
did.
had.
He did do something.
He left an Easter egg.
And in my head,
mm-hmm.
I thought more than anything he just wanted her to talk to see if he could get something out of her, but yeah, just bad vibes. I didn't think he did it, however. Mm-mm.
Gross. John Felix was gross. All right.
Yes.
What do we think about Theo?
Oh, Theo had me feeling so bad for him
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Felt bad for him. I empathize with him. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he has a crush. Like, in my head for a split second, I was like, maybe they'll figure it out. And they did not.
Literally no.
But it kind of pivoted from that to, well, actually, who is he? To, oh my gosh, this guy is so crazy. He's good.
There were so many layers to Theo. And I always find it interesting that people with that much trauma go into becoming therapists.
Yeah. I think, in my personal opinion, I feel like it's another segue. If I deal with someone else's and I can help them,
Ooh,
I don't have to deal with mine.
Because he wasn't dealing with it.
Mm-mm.
Or maybe he was getting dredged up to the fact that it was cycling around again.
Yeah.
But also, he probably, no, because he was still with Kathy. So he definitely hadn't dealt with it.
No, I feel like he was justifying everything.
Yeah.
Bit by bit.
Oh, goodness. Theo. All right, well, that was character lineup.
It was.
All right, so this next session or segment. So, what do you rate the book? If you could give the book a rating of 1 to 5, with 1 being this book sucked, and I shouldn't have picked it up, to 5 was I literally couldn't put it down and I need like a sequel and a movie.
A 5.
Really?
Honestly,
Wow.
for me,
Mm-hmm.
and because I could not figure out what the plot twist was, because from jump how he starts the book off, I appreciated it so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think as soon as I finished, I was at work the next day. Does your wife read? Do you read? You should read this book.
Bro,
oh my
I
gosh.
so excited when Jasmine finally got to the plot twist.
I had to send a picture. I said, oh my gosh.
I literally did. Man. Let's talk about the ending. Let's talk about the ending. So so the families were indeed intertwined.
They were.
We already knew Kathy was cheating because he told us, but we still hadn't figured out if Gabriel had also been cheating, which Alicia thought that he had.
Yeah. She
sure.
definitely had the hunch, but was not sure.
Look, women's intuition,
Maybe.
we be on it.
All the time.
So yeah, let's talk about that segment of the story where it finally came together.
My pearls were clutched.
Like, he followed Kathy to this person's house.
Mm-hmm.
So they were doing it at. Gabriel didn't have no type of shame.
No. Not at all. He said I can get it here, outside, in the house.
So, because at least Kathy won't. I mean, not at least, Lord. Because Kathy was literally doing it in the park, in the bushes, having a good old time.
But she didn't bring it to her house.
She did not. So I guess I was a little respectful.
A smidge. A smidge.
But I'm like, after, because he was trying to get up the courage to ring that doorbell and tell Alicia what her husband was doing. Does it take that much courage?
No.
That she gotta go to the woman's house multiple times and just stand there?
I feel like it's almost the obsession. Instead of just asking for him, he was like just mulling over all of the different possibilities. Like he went through the aspect of, well, maybe this woman who is Alicia, maybe she's open to it, or maybe she knows and I'm just the one who's clueless. And it's like, all you do is knock on the window.
Right.
Maybe not the window, the door.
But I'm like, because didn't he go into her backyard one day?
Yeah. It was the backyard, and even walking home, she felt someone following her. And I'm like, don't observe. Don't try to figure it out.
How do you not know that it's giving stalker weirdo vibes?
You know.
Theo was an interesting white man. I'll leave it at that.
He was. Oh my goodness. If I could just reread that part. So good.
All right, so let me see. I have this playlist that someone made. And this is...
It's fitting though.
Right. Like they did a really good job with this playlist.
Yeah. Ooh, just clarinet.
Just what?
I said yes, clarinet.
Just creepy.
Hearing that soundbite, what part of the book does it take you to?
That's what I'm thinking about. Oh, you know what? Maybe when they are walking when he finally gets her to walk around with him in the
outside area of the grove.
Yeah. I don't know.
I could see it there, but then also in my twisted, demented mind, it's almost like, for me, it's the calmness when he says, I forgot the specific phrase, that makes her realize
who he is,
and it's just kind of like this calming sensation of, so we're playing this game.
I like that. All right, let's see about this one.
I know specifically which one it is.
Honestly, this is giving when he's doing all that sleuthing. When he's trying to follow Kathy.
That's what it gave me. But then also a little bit of it was almost when, same theme of looking or, looking for Kathy and who she was with. But when he was looking for her journal and she had it tucked.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. I like this game. Okay. See. You got some?
I do.
Okay.
I actually relate this game.
What do you have?
Like, my inner band nerd is creepy. But specifically when he's reading her journal and he realizes that she knows who he is, and when the violins or the strings come in and his mind is like racing.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Jasmine's a pro at this. My goodness.
I love this game.
This is good. I like that. Let me see. Did we do this one? We didn't do this one.
Was that what it's called, crossing paths? That's interesting. I don't know. The chords give me heartbreak.
I mean, this is honestly, when I think of crossing paths and listening to this, I feel like this is like the first time she like notices him across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Just sitting, like she's kind of second guessing herself because at one point she like goes into the kitchen, she peeps again
To make sure.
Yeah, like I don't like almost like frantic too a little bit,
Yeah.
but not like fast frantic, but like just
It's almost like a mental check. Like,
Yeah.
what is this? Did I see what I thought I saw?
That's what it's getting for me.
I think I definitely get that. And then almost like once she heard Gabriel give her up, like just the heartbreak of that, but even the heartbreak for Theo when he realized that, oh, Kathy out here with another man.
It's like, what did you expect? Oh, they have Frank Ocean up here. Siegfried.
Mm.
Oh, the fact that it's talking while singing now. No. I don't know why when I listened to the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
it reminded me of the flashback of her being in the car with her mom.
Mm-hmm. That's
what
a
it
good
was.
one. Yeah.
Just like they didn't, just carefree, like they didn't know that was gonna. Well, no, I don't know. Actually, no,
But-
because she knew. They think that she did that on, like she was trying to kill herself.
Yeah. However, from Alicia's, am I pronouncing it right? Yeah.
Alicia,
Child, yes.
it's okay.
From her perspective, I don't think it was a first thought. Like, you know how it's almost like before you realize it's your mind is trying to figure out what's going on. I could definitely see that.
Well, that was the
That's fun.
section around Tune Into the Soundtrack. Before we end, I wanted to kind of talk through a few of the comments that I saw on Goodreads.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, so a lot of reviews. It's got 2.9 million ratings.
What's overall?
4.1
Really?
out of 5. Per 2.9 million, that's really high.
It is high.
Really good. All right, so the first comment I see is a 1-star rating saying, "Please don't let's get dramatic." That was the title. It says, "I've been a bit hesitant about writing this review since the majority of readers really enjoyed this debut." Contrarians are annoying. I didn't hate The Silent Patient, but I did find this novel both ridiculous and incompetent. Just because The Silent Patient has a twist, that doesn't mean it should be labeled as being a psychological thriller. There is little to no suspense. The mystery is laughable. The tension largely MIA.
I'm gonna have to strongly disagree with that.
Oh my god, like it just keeps going on and on.
But even the psychological thriller aspect doesn't play on the role of Alicia and her not talking. It's literally Thea, who's clearly
Unhinged. Very much
unhinged.
unhinged. Like this was literally a psychological, I'm I mean, it was definitely a thriller because, again, just because he didn't like the plot twist, I'm like, that's a little harsh. One star means that it's hot garbage.
He read the book though. Maybe it was
He did.
too late.
He read the whole thing.
Hmm.
He read the whole thing. Let's go to a 4-star review. And that was about 36% of the reviews. So 42% of the reviewers on Goodreads gave it a 5-star review.
Oh, okay. I'm not.
So you were part of the majority.
I am.
All right. This person said that the book is virtually unputdownable. I didn't actually have any plans to read this book. I just happened to see it hanging around in the new releases, took a quick peek and thought, why not? Well, I'll tell you why not. You absolutely definitely should not read this book if you want to go to sleep and get up for real life stuff in the morning. I read this until my eyes were like, nope, and closed on their own. Honestly, that was kind of me because when I went to Florida, Orlando, for like a weekend, like a staycation, if you will. I took the book with me and literally didn't leave the hotel unless I was going to eat or if I was getting ready for that charity event I had to go to. But literally took the weekend to finish that book. So yeah. Okay.
I don't know if it's because I do enjoy the drama. I'm not gonna lie.
She's for the drama.
But especially in a book, in the way that Alex was able to convey and tell the story, there's no really slow draw. If the book seems slow, it's because it's developing another aspect that then plays into the larger picture. But yeah, no, I would get up and say, hey, oh girl, I want to set up for Alexa, but I'd be like, can you pick up and play The Silent Patient?
All right, let me see. So, this was these people be writing novels.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna read all that. I'm sorry. Anyway, so on Goodreads, it had a 4.17 out of 5. Like I said, 2.9 million reviews for this book. It's insane. But yeah, well, ratings.
His first book at that.
Yeah. So I think we talked about this, but did you get his second one, The Maidens?
I'm reading it now.
Oh, are you?
I am.
Okay. Well, obviously no spoilers, but like, how's it going? How far along are you?
I still fairly in the beginning.
Within 50 pages?
Within 50 pages. Equally appreciate his knack for developing the story and how he tells it.
So a little bit of a slow burn again? Well, honestly, that wasn't a slow burn. No. Yeah. Just, okay.
As soon as I heard what's what, I was like, oh. Okay.
I'm not going to ask any more questions. I have The Maidens as well. I think I'm only a chapter in. You're much farther than me, but I don't know. We'll see if you make another appearance for season 2.
You know,
I'm
not mad at it.
But yeah, all right. Well, Jasmine, thank you so much for joining me on Reading with Friendz. So if you could sum this book up in one sentence, what would it be? For anyone looking to read the book that hasn't read the book.
Oh. I would say if you are someone who enjoys a plot twist and the understanding that not everything you see meets the eye, then this book is definitely for you. If you want it straightforward, go to the next one. But dive into this.
Psychological thriller is probably not for you anyway. But
just dive into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate for having you. Thank you.
It was great.
All right, y'all. So this was our episode of Reading with Friendz, and we read The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Until next time.